Hello everyone, my name is Avro Hebner and I'm from the British Deaf Association here in Scotland. Now tonight's BSL Blethers topic is going to be about the Association of British Sign Language Teachers and Assessors, and you can see the acronym ABSLTA for short, but for the purposes of tonight we'll refer to it as the Association. Now, I know our viewers at home will be extremely excited about our two guests we have tonight because they have been involved in teaching and assessing throughout the whole of the UK. They're deaf themselves and they really have been foremost at trying to empower deaf people to take up these roles and encourage the numbers as well to increase. And they know that being a teacher links to the profession of interpreters as well. And as all of you know at home, we had our BSL Act in Scotland 2015, and the UK had their BSL bill in 2022. So we have to remember that even although we're happy, we've got lots of these elements coming together, it's important that we remember our teachers and our assessors. Tonight, we'll maybe explore the history and see how we've ended up here. So first of all, I'd like to introduce our first guest, Emma IIiffe. Hello, Emma.
Hi, hello. It's
Lovely
to meet you. Thank you so much for inviting me to take part tonight. It's a really important discussion. I'm Emma IIiffe. I usually wear either a thick piece of jewellery or a scarf, so hence my sign name. I am a BSL teacher. I'm the BSL teaching coordinator for City Lit in London. And I have been teaching for 35 years, supporting BSL tutors and so on. And in a voluntary capacity, I am the chair of ABSLTA, and this is our sign name, ABSLTA, because we cover Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales and England, even Cornwall, all the way down that peninsula there. So you can see from our logo, our sign name, and it covers the whole of the UK, and it's about teaching. It's a very positive sign. And we've been using that for the past 10 years.
That's amazing. So you've been teaching how long again?
Oh, I've been teaching, I think I started training at Durham University way back in the day. I was 23 years old, something like that. Then I paused my teaching for a while and then returned when I was 35, came back into the profession at 35, updated my skills and my qualifications. Wow. Went to City Lit for the STTC, the training course there. It was called the STTC at that time.
Right.
Sign Language Teacher Training Course, which is still ongoing to this day. Yeah.
So you've really got overall 35 years experience?
Roughly, yes. And my hair's going grey, isn't it? I'm getting old.
But in addition to this, Emma, you're also the chair. How long have you been the chair of the association?
Next year will be my 10th year, my decade.
Congrats.
Wow, time flies, really. Since I became chair, when I took over, there were about 22 members, and we really pushed that, and we really, brought the ABSLTA on, and it's been carrying on until this day, and we're up to 105 members as it stands at the moment, and it's a great team. It's been a lovely organisation to be part of.
Oh, Emma, I've got so many questions to ask you, but could you just hang on 1 second? We'll introduce our second guest. Hello, Clark, Denmark.
Hi, Clark.
Hi. Clark, could you tell us a wee bit about yourself? Well, when I was looking at Emma's talking about her journey, I was already teaching prior to that, and it makes me feel very old. And I think it was 77, 78 when I first started. At that time, there was not much on the ground. It was mostly hearing people who were either priests or ministers who were actually controlling within the deaf club. And at that time, it was decided it was only hearing people that could teach. And I really didn't like that. So I challenged that then. and that challenge has been continuing, but I've got a bit of a shock with the way back to 77. But I started at Murray House, which was in 79.
Ah, wonderful.
And from there I progressed. And then I went sort of just a wee bit, took a wee bit of a tangent, and I was, rather than teaching, I was encouraging other deaf people to become teachers, and then went to university and was starting to train interpreters, hearing people become to learn and work in sign language. So I've really got a mixed bag, and my whole journey's been a very long time, and I'm quite shocked myself how long it is.
I do remember.
Oh my goodness, 45 years now, 50, oh no, nearly 50. My goodness, years.
Wow. Wow. I
That's
remember when I went to Durham University, and Clark was just this hero, role model. This deaf person didn't use his voice, used full BSL, then Francis Elton as well. Yeah, it was just lovely. And I looked at these people and I thought I really wanted to be them, little me, young me, when I was just a novice teacher. These were the great heroes that we looked up to, because you didn't see really fluent BSL users in teaching positions at that time. And I just was very lucky that I was there at the right time to benefit from these role models.
Yeah, you're right, Emma. It was a golden era. I mean, I can remember, in my youth as well, getting in and just completely changed my life. I think it's particularly now, it's great that you guys are here, and
Oh,
telling us about the history of what's happened. So tonight, what we want to really talk about, amongst other things, is actually the association as a whole. And I suppose this maybe is really for you, Clark. You're the president of that association. Could you tell us a wee bit about maybe your role, and maybe then, Emma, you can tell me about your role as a chair? Okay, well, in simple terms, being the chair, it doesn't mean you're sort of like getting your hands dirty and getting involved and talking to everyone else. What we do is we have well, in the past we have people who are actually very skilled in that area, and I appreciate that the association asked me to come and take this amazing role. I'd always thought inside that I'd love to do it, but I thought, oh, maybe not for me yet, and I thought maybe
we
I'll.
thought we were going to get you next time. Yep.
Yep. And then they got me, and that was it. So, there was lots of other people pushing me in that direction, but the association is a wonderful organisation to be part of, and it's great that it's keep going strong. And some people do come up to me and they ask just to talk about, my role and what's happened in the association, and that's important to continue that conversation. Thank you. Emma, again, same question to you, but your role as a chair, can you tell us a wee bit more about that?
Yes, I'm really encouraging other people and giving out roles to other members of
How
the
many
committee, like
staff do you
website
have?
development.
Oh,
Eight of us,
committee.
eight of us, yeah. So we have a secretary, we have a membership secretary, a treasurer, we have a researcher, vice chair. So I'm handing out kind of roles and trying to get all of us to outreach, really, basically. And then, we have Zooms where we all get together, we all have a chat. We invite professional people to come in and give us talks so that we can ask them questions. And in the way that you're doing now, we invite a specialist to come in and talk to us and advise our group. And it's lovely. Everyone takes their role seriously. If anyone's struggling, we offer them a little bit of support. We're a very supportive organisation.
Lovely.
The communication is vital to us, so we're very communicative and open.
Clark, did you want to add something there?
Sorry?
Yeah, you were talking about my screen froze for a bit there, and I'm just double checking. You were talking about the association. Could you ask me again, Avril?
It looked like you wanted to add something, Clark, about Emma's role as chair.
Well, I would just say it's really important what Emma is saying, that in the past, we had this organisation and a network was born from that. At that time, we were teaching in college courses at night or university, and a lot of hearing people go there and they'll teach different subjects, whether it's joinery, whether it's whatever, and and at that time it was only one BSL tutor. So when they finished, they had no one to talk to. When classes finished, they couldn't engage with their other colleagues. So that's why the association was set up, to looking at that gap and to making sure that the teachers and tutors themselves weren't feeling lonely. They had somewhere that they could actually say, these are the issues I'm having, or just having that kind of discussion. And we knew that having that supportive bond would instill encouragement and confidence in everyone. Also, it's a good way of sharing ideas and good practice too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So before I go on, I'd love to show you something from the past. It's the BDA news. Let's have a look. So for people at home, this is a picture of the British Deaf News, an old magazine that we're sharing with the viewers. Wow.
Oh, isn't that lovely? Oh.
So the question is, this magazine and this one we've shown,
Yes.
this was the first one you were getting people to come to a meeting?
1989. Yeah, 1989.
Yeah, well, what happened was, I can remember prior to that, there wasn't just teaching happening at Durham, it was happening at City Lit before that, way before
Oh,
Durham.
yes. Mm-hmm.
And the same as that, we had tutors and teachers, quite a good pool of them. But then what happened was, they were still being there as lone workers and they were getting frustrated. And at that time, the BDA was very, very involved in teaching, and that was one of the reasons that we set up the association. It was really through the support of the BDA at that time. So we're going way back to the early days.
And capped CACDP as well.
That's right.
We're very supportive.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Signature there now. That's
Signature,
right.
that's right. They became independent. Yeah.
So we had all of these organisations involved, and we had a director of sign language, and
Yep.
that was anyway, we had all of these people all coming together, and really the natural turning point for us was to have a meeting and get everyone together, and then see how we were going to work from there, how we were going to work together from there. And people were really enthusiastic about that and looking forward to it. So, and they knew they hadn't had it before. So that's really the background to how we actually, formally set up the association. And it was due to the frustration, loneliness, isolation of our workers.
Where was the first one set up?
Doncaster.
Doncaster. I thought it was
Yeah.
Manchester.
No, it was Doncaster. And I think it was just easier for the rail network from all the home countries.
Oh, wow.
That's right, because I can remember as well, they went to Glasgow and other places, but I can remember that a way back. And it was great having that support, and you didn't feel alone, and deaf people felt as if they were part of a bigger thing. So, okay, we've established that's when it was set up. We've seen the newsletter. Do you want to have a wee look about the old newsletters?
Let's.
So this is a picture of a newsletter from a way back, and another pictures of different coloured newsletters, just the front pictures of them, all about the Association of British Sign Language and Tutors. We now have got a picture of the committee from 89 to 90. And you can see where they are the representative and for which region. Wow.
Oh, isn't that amazing?
So the newsletter, what was the purpose?
Well, that was made in my house at that time.
Wow.
I was a researcher and I was preparing to do a lecture in Edinburgh, Heriot Watt University. and they wanted something to show, some kind of evidence, documentation, rather than just a talk. They wanted some evidence. So found this newsletter, and just by accident, I'd never used that, but I went to this kind of room and found, well, let me show you actually. Let me show you what I found. Look at this.
Wow. And what's in it? Just loads of stuff?
It's the newsletters. It's the newsletters.
Wow.
Look.
Oh, Emma, we appreciate you having such good admin skills. Wow. There's so many, and it's so rich in the history of the
Absolutely
organisation.
amazing. Yeah, I mean, from all of that time, there was no internet back then, of course.
Yeah, you should put them online
So
now.
everything
We
was
should
put
have a
through on a
look.
photocopier. It was hand typed. Amazing.
Do you know what I did notice is now the acronym has an extra A, but in the
Yes, it
past
does.
it didn't have that A. What's
That's
that
right.
about?
So ABSLT, you can see here. Look, ABSLT here.
Okay, so is that just for
And
teachers only?
ABSLT, that was for tutors. Association of British Sign Language Tutors, but there were no assessors. So the extra A is the added assessors, and they were added in 2006. Let me see if I can find the point at which they're added. No, that's not the right one.
That's all right, Emma.
Oh, well, never mind. But yeah, they are added in 2006. So it becomes ABSLTA, and until 2014, the tutors become teachers, Association of British Sign Language Teachers and Assessors. And next year, I don't know, it might change again. Who knows?
But I suppose the key thing is it's the teaching element now plus the assessment element.
Yeah.
Great. Now, when we saw that wee map there, that was
wasn't that
amazing.
lovely?
Seeing all the hand-drawn stuff. And can you tell us a wee bit more about all of those people? It's fantastic now. We can do things in a computer, but then we just had our own manual skills. Oh, wow. My goodness.
So my goodness, yes, you see, list of all the tutors, no pictures or anything.
Emma, could I take you back to the map when we had all these faces of people? Were they reps?
Yes, they were representatives for each area. Let me see if I can find that.
Can you give me, hang on, I'll wait till I've got your attention again. Oh, here we go.
This is the second newsletter, and that's where that appeared.
Got you. Can you tell us a wee bit about those people?
Oh yeah, of course. Yes. So we have up in Scotland, we have Kathleen Cameron.
That's it, Kathleen Cameron.
Yeah, from Aberdeen, up in Aberdeen there, in the north of Scotland. And then we have Sharon Franklin.
Yep.
Over in Belfast. Yeah, looking after Northern Ireland.
Anybody else?
And then in Wales, we had Sheila Moon.
Yep, I remember Sheila.
From Cardiff. Yeah, she was responsible for Wales. Jo Gardner.
Yep.
Yeah, Jo. She was from Bristol, so she was covering the Southwest. And Melinda Napier. Yeah, absolutely. Melinda, of course, in London. Well, southeast, really, Surrey sort of area. And then we had Richard McGill. And Richard, unfortunately, has passed away now, but he was based in London. And Linda Richards.
Linda.
She was based in Reigate at that time. So was
Yeah.
covering the Kent and Surrey sort of area as well.
Fantastic.
It's
See a
amazing,
map
isn't
with
it?
the names and the areas. Could I just
There were
say,
just seven.
when I looked at that, I remember when I was teaching at Durham and City Lit, and that's an amalgamation of all those people together, you know. And
Yep.
now you see them together and you see them mixing and sharing everything, and it's just so positive.
And I think there were 350 plus people who attended that first gathering.
Yeah.
It was really well attended. It was really amazing. Yeah. And I think because, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you then, but I think because, this is before access to work, before ITW, anything like that. So that didn't exist. So deaf people were working as machinists, as cobblers, as, all kinds of things, graphic designers. They didn't have access to interpreters, for example. And so when we set up, when was that set up? CAW 19,
Late
going to,
70s.
yeah, something like that. It really took people's attention because suddenly, they had access, CSWs, and they could kind of get access to things.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Because what we found is we were looking for people, people were looking for nighttime courses to learn, and the thing is that a lot of people were coming for sort of non-vocational courses, whether it be knitting or sewing. I mean, as soon as BSL was in offer, we had loads of students at that time really signing up for the course. The demand was absolutely huge.
That's right.
Also, I suppose to add into that, we had Durham University, we had Princess Di learning some BSL, and again,
And
that raised
launching the
her
BSL
profile.
dictionary. Yeah,
Yep,
launching the BSL dictionary.
absolutely. The dictionary, which I may have a copy. Bear with me. Here it is.
We've all got one in our rooms, haven't we? There it is. And I've got one in the cupboard that was signed by Princess Di.
And also, Avro, the BD had been teaching.
Yeah. It's signed by Princess Diana in the frontispiece. There somewhere. It's lovely.
And remember, it was the BDA that was teaching a lot of sign language then, and they were getting loads of people signing up for their courses. I suppose when we look back, it's been peaks and troughs when it comes to sort of like attainment of status, I suppose, for us as well. And I have a list of questions that I would love to ask you. But before I do so,
Okay.
Emma,
But you want to ask me about my experience of teaching at the Department of Work and Pensions?
Yeah, I do, but could you hold that a wee second just now when we talk about the association, when it was established? What did it offer to its members? How did they apply? What was this association? What was it going to offer people?
Well, if you go to the website, we've got a new website, and you can see it was launched last Thursday, actually.
Okay, we'll have a wee. There we have. There's the link to the website.
Yeah, that's the link there. Yeah.
Okay, so and this is the new homepage of the new website. Lovely, well done. It looks smart. But could you explain to me?
Thank you.
What's an offer to people if they join your organisation?
Yes, ABSLT offers a number of things. So there's the history of ABSLTA, which is on the website there. But there's also kind of, how to log in. If you log in, you get all kinds of information, like a BSL glossary. We're trying to put something together. Clark, maybe you might get more involved in that project, but we're putting forward things like what are classifiers, what do they mean, and things that teachers might need to remember.
Yeah,
so various elements. And
so Could I ask, in order to log in, do I have to be a member, and how much do I
Yes,
pay?
you do have to be a member, and it's £30 per year, which is very reasonable, and well worth it.
Okay, so once I'm
Um,
in, I get access to all the information.
you do, and we can set up a Google Classroom within that. You know, if you're a member, you can set up a Google Classroom and link into that. And via that, you can get access to all kinds of materials and resources that might be useful to you in the classroom, just to help you develop ideas. They're not full lesson plans or anything, but they're just to help
Yeah,
you develop your own resources, your own ideas, and a kind of skeleton for perhaps an 8-week course, you know, at level 2, that kind of thing. So it just gives you tips, it gives you ideas, it gives you material to look through, you know, materials to test students' receptive skills, some links to programs on the
fantastic.
BSL Zone, that kind of thing, you know, various resources.
So it has resources there as well that you can download?
Absolutely, it absolutely does, yeah. And where there are gaps, we're hoping our members will contribute materials, particularly our older members, our more experienced members.
So when you do training, you do Zoom and face-to-face?
Yes, yes. Some of them are Zoom, some of them are in classroom. You know, so this year actually we've just started. We started last year the ABSLTA chat, where we
Okay.
invite someone, you know, professional to come in, and we all can ask questions of that person. But these events are free. And this year, we're doing something a little bit different. So we've dropped the chat, and we're now working on something new. So we're going to have two. We're going to have a BSL Tutors Lounge, which is kind of like where someone can have a you know, a lovely cup of tea and a bit of a chat, tea and biscuits and a chat, like a little staff room, a safe space, very informal. Where people can talk about any difficulties they might have had, and you know, get peer advice, get support, monitor each other, that sort of thing. And that happens once a month.
Okay.
And the other thing that we're working on is BSL Teachers Hub. I don't know how we want to sign hub. Do we want to sign like that, Clark? Yeah, hub.
Okay.
Okay.
So what's that?
And this is more formal. This is where we invite our guests. So perhaps we might invite someone who's very experienced with STTC, who might come and talk to us all
Okay.
about the structure of it, and we can ask them questions. And then we might ask someone who is very experienced in the BSL world to come and you know, talk to us about BSL. So it's a very professional kind of networking area hub.
Okay.
And the idea is to encourage our members to network with each other. So we're hoping that is going to go live after Christmas, I think.
That sounds lovely. Clark, you were saying, well, it also includes it's a CPD,
It is
continued
like
professional development.
continuing professional development. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah,
And lots of professions it's mandatory, and you should be encouraging people to continue to hone their skill.
absolutely agree.
You would no idea how many questions we have off camera. So I'm going to try my best to get through as many as possible for you. These are all questions from our viewers at home.
Oh, I can't wait.
Okay, so our first question is from Erin McCluskey, and you'll see at the bottom of your screen. So Erin asks, first of all, hi, it's lovely to see both Emma and Clark. I'm interested in knowing both of your views on the lack of young deaf BSL teachers, and why do you think this may be the case? Is there any
Yeah,
initiative?
that is a very good question, Erin, and it's a very important question. And I have some theories about that. We are beginning to see young people come back into the fold. So any young people watching, I would encourage you to come along. Don't worry about experience. Do just come along and join us. So I am fishing. I'm trying to hook young people. We will mentor you, and I think that's really important. You know, when you become a teacher, it's really useful to have someone come along and observe you, and then for you to observe them. It's really, really valuable. And there's a
And you
lot of
support
peer
each other
support.
too?
Yeah, absolutely. Really helps development.
Could I come in here? Uh, I really appreciate this question, because all of us, are concerned as well. We think that maybe some of the reasons is in the past that most maybe people who were 30 plus were maybe coming to teaching, but the ones that were under that were maybe just having a social life. And it was once you got to sort of 30, you were maybe like having
That's a good
responsibilities,
point.
a house, or a family and things like that. Your job might be boring, and you thought, oh, there's an opportunity to teach. So maybe looking at a change of career. So that's what we thought in the past. But now I think it's different, because what we're finding is a lot of evening courses are disappearing. The whole landscape of college and university evening are changing, and also, secure employment's not there all the time as well. So I feel that, if anything, there's more opportunities now, to actually get involved. In the past, we were limited, but now these doors are opening, and there is definitely a demand. And I think in the past there wasn't that opportunities there. But I have to say that the problem with deaf schools is that they're disappearing, and we've lost
I
this
was about to say
rich
that.
BSL, natural developing language. So when they go to mainstream, their quality of their sign language is not in the same par as a child who would be developing with deaf peers. So that in turn affects their confidence and has lots of knock-on effects. What I would hope to see in the future is see children back having, sort of the role models. We know that in England they're having their GCSEs and sign language. So I'm hoping that in the future that the tables have turned, and we're actually now teaching young hearing people. I know that the BSL Act 2022 is not super strong, but there is definite ways we can get there. And I want to make sure that sign language remains in the hands and remains the
And I would
responsibility of the deaf community. And do you see the association having a role with trying to get young people? Thanks for the question, Erin. But what do you think, Emma?
it is something we're thinking about, but there's something else that I'd like to add actually. I think you got younger people on one hand and older people on the other hand, and I'd like to see much more integration between those two
Mhm.
communities, between those two groups. I think it's really important that that they can have good regard for each other, and that's the same in the hearing world as well. I think that we need to see this
Yeah.
mixing. We definitely need to see it much more in the deaf world, in the deaf community.
Okay, we've got another question in from Deb Butler. And Deb's asking, am I right in understanding that ABSLTA membership is only limited now to qualified teachers who are BSL level 6 trained and have done the linguistic course? So if so, how will it support other BSL qualified teachers that maybe don't have that?
Yeah. Okay. We're a broad church. We welcome people who are involved in training. We go from level 3, basic, the PTLLC, and 60% of our members are at that level. So we welcome 60%. Yeah,
Thank
60,
you.
however you want to sign that, 60%. And only about 15% are those kind of people that Debbie describes, kind of level 5 basic. But we encourage all people. We want everyone to get involved and get on board, and we will help them progress.
So just to clarify, you welcome new members. So if you've not got any teaching or qualification, you can get them, but you have to be a teacher first.
You've got to have something like the STTC in order to be
Okay.
a member, to come in and do the training.
There's another question that kind of follows from this. Maybe it's two separate questions. So say, for example, I'm a native signer, and I want to start teaching, is there anything I should be doing beforehand?
Get your level 6, get your basic level 6, or the old MVQ level 4 in
Okay.
old money, which is now level 6 in the new certificates. And that includes basic linguistics that's covered in that course. So it'll give you that kind of linguistics foundation.
So if I want to become a teacher, I should be doing the BSL level 6 and also a linguistic course so that I understand my language first. Okay, before
Yeah.
I would embark on doing teaching. Great. So how do you get then teaching materials, or there's different pathways, or what
Well,
do we
that's
do
an
then?
area where we need more work.
Right, okay. So if I then I've done my level 6, I've done my linguistics, what is the qualification then I need to become a qualified tutor?
So in England, Wales, and Northern Ireland, you need a level 3. In Scotland, you need an SQA level 6, and they are the same. They're just different. They're just numbered differently because the system is different in Scotland.
Lovely.
But it's really important to keep your skills updated as a teacher.
Okay, so say for example, I've got the old level 4, new level 6 BSL, and I've done my teacher qualification, and then I've decided, oh, I want to be an assessor. How do I become
Well,
an assessor?
in the olden days, when it was back in the MVQ days, we had assessors and IVs, internal verifiers.
Right, okay. And the old
Yeah, so
A1
you
system.
do all of those kinds of things. But those things are finished now. We do still have external verifiers, EVs, who come in and assess things. But you don't need that at level 3. You just submit your materials, and an assessor will mark those. That the training organisation will
So how
arrange them.
then am I qualified? If I want to become an assessor, how do I do it then?
I don't have a lot of experience in that area, but nowadays the teaching experience, the A1 and the level 3, has an assessor module inside, within it. So you get that as you move up to level 4. So your assessing is already in there. By the time you get to level 6, you're qualified also as an IV. So it's included in that qualification. Now it's integrated.
Got you. Clark, as Zem said, in the olden days, it was really very separate journeys, certain pathways. You became a teacher and you did one set of qualifications, and it was completely different if you wanted to be an assessor. Nowadays, assessment is part of your teaching qualification. It's a skill you had
Yes.
to learn. We always had it. It's not a new thing. It was always there. It was just separated as now it's part of this qualification. So it's just as the way times have changed. Yeah, I suppose that's where I was coming from, because I recognise that both skills are very, very different. I understand why maybe bringing them together, it may be a cost benefit, but we'll leave that part just now. So, Clark, there's a question coming, and I really do think this is linked, or this is for you. So the question is, I will see it quickly on our screen. It should come up. Oh, the question's actually saying, what happened to Durham? I've been waiting for the question to come up. It's not came up at the moment.
Question
Oh,
from
here it is.
Dominic.
What happened to Durham BSL TA when it's capped now? What's happened? Is it still there? Is it a new name? Can you give us some background? Fantastic question. There's a lot of confusion out there. Now, what happened in the beginning, for about 10 years, for that period of 10 years, and just before
That
that,
was Durham.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was getting self-funded, and it was really, really hard because the courses were really expensive to the university to provide these courses. So there was some funding, and then eventually At that time, a government department had agreed to give additional funding to Durham. And what we were to do, well, we were to train people to become tutors. And that was great. And that's how we managed to increase our pool and get people there, because we had that secure government funding. But after that period, what happened was it became more difficult and more problematic to get funding, and the course itself was not sustainable. There wasn't enough demand. So that's why Durham really just kind of disappeared. And that's the history. I mean, I suppose if we'd get more funding at the time, we could have increased the volume of traffic we were getting there. I believe that Durham could have, or were not in a position to actually do this course themselves without the funding. They just didn't have that ability at that time.
I think the same thing happened at Bristol, really.
Lovely, that's a great answer. We've got another question coming in, and this question is, well, I suppose before I ask, I want to clarify, there is a debate over the word teacher and tutor, as if one has a higher status than the other. You know, in the past it was a tutor, now you're called a teacher. Can I ask what your thoughts are in these terms?
Yes. Should I answer that, Clark? Yeah, okay. Well, back in 2006, ABSLTA, well, when it was ABSLT, it was tutors. And then, as I mentioned before, we added assessors in 2006. And then in 2014, we changed the word tutor and substituted the word teacher.
Okay, so 2014 you changed
2014,
that. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got you.
Now, at that time, well, last week, actually, someone said, well, tutor is higher than teacher, actually. And I thought, is it?
Hang on. So a tutor would be valued higher than a teacher? Okay.
Yeah, that's what they said, that the tutor is of higher status than teacher. And I was like, well, who said that? And they said the person who is in charge of teacher training. So I went along to that person. We had lunch together just last week. And I said, can you tell me about the difference between these two terms then? And they said, well, a tutor is an important person, because a tutor works in a college environment. But in a school environment, that same person is a teacher.
Ah, all right.
So, and by the time you get to university, that person is a lecturer.
Ah, so it's just titles, but actually they're doing the same important job?
Yes. Yes, slightly different roles in each of these environments. And that was suddenly really clear to me, you know, that I thought that was great information. So now we need to think about whether we change our name back again from teacher to tutors, or teaching, perhaps, which covers all of them, because teaching as a verb covers tutors or teachers, or in fact lecturers.
Yeah. Clark, what's your view? Oh, it's a contentious one. It's always difficult. Is it teacher or tutor? And there's benefits to both. But as Emma's saying, there really is. They do overlap. It could be the job responsibility is saying maybe within school, or whether it's college, university, they have their own ways of designating their staff. So I think when we look at definitions, what we have to do is we look at the curriculum. So you follow that. If you're in a school, you follow the school curriculum. So your BSL teachers in the school, it gives you the same status. However, but it doesn't matter if you're teaching at university. It would sound daft at university. Say you're a teacher, you're a lecturer at university. It's just part of the kind of teaching pathway, if you like. But I would honestly say to people, you should follow what the bodies and their curriculum say. You know, the thing you have to remember is passing the qualification. and then also making sure you've honed your skills so that you pass well, you know, and then you can explore. But I'll be honest with you, each of it's just a title, they all overlap.
Yeah, and it's interesting, isn't it? At first, I thought the word tutor meant you were teaching one-to-one, and the word teacher meant that you were in front of a classroom. But both of
Yeah.
them could actually be in a classroom teaching a number of people, or
True.
both of them could be one-to-one.
Oh, thank you for that. I think that will help our audience at home just to understand what the issues have been. So moving on, we've got another question. Maybe I'll take one from our audience at home. Actually, no, I've got a question I have to ask you first. So this is to both of you. Has there been any sort of maybe common issues that seem to be pertinent to tutors, teachers, lecturers of BSL? You know, maybe is it about the numbers, you know, not being as much? Is it about the landscape, the future? Emma?
Well, my concerns, I think, are about reduction in funding. And secondly, I would be concerned.
Can I just
Yes,
double check, funding for course or funding for the teacher training?
funding for teacher training in BSL. In linguistic training, basically. And training in deafhood as well. I think that's really important. I really believe in that because 85% of deaf people are now mainstreamed. So there are real issues around deaf identity, and I think we need to be looking at deafhood. And we need to, you know, people need to understand their own deafhood as they train to become teachers and become more linguistically aware.
Okay, so just to clarify, you're concerned about the numbers, but you're also concerned because deaf children are mainstream now, that they're not understanding about their culture, their identity, and
the
because
linguistics of the language.
absolutely, and I mean, I look out and I've got a big concern about the lack of linguistics training there. Clark, you wanted to say something? I'm not going to repeat what Emma said. I agree with it all, but one of my concerns is the job in itself, and it's because in the past there was plenty of employment there. So, for example, say I wanted to be taught, you have to pay a fee to be taught. So you pay that fee. You knew that your wage should cover that fee, right? So you knew that if you paid the fee, you know, you would get your wage covered. But if your work is in a sort of precarious situation, then there's a worry that you won't be able to get long-term employment out of there. So I wonder if it's seen things like companies in the past that maybe are people being freelance, they've set up their own companies. And so, you know, like say for example, some schools have, you know, BSL teaching within the schools, but there's only a few of them, and the universities are only teaching a few as well. So where is the evening courses? They're not there anymore.
Yes, where are they?
So that's a big concern for me. There has to be more promotion, there needs to be more accountability, and you know, the cost of living just now, everybody's crying they can't afford anything. So that's an area that we really need to think about, and I'm definitely concerned about that, because if we need that funding to make sure we have sustainability and to carry on the legacy that was started. You know, we need the funding to make sure that we have the tutors of the future ready now and trained. And they need to have a job there for them. It has to be a worthwhile job. Emma?
Well, no, I was just thinking, actually. Sorry, that's my cogs whirring.
Okay, so I'll try and sum up. So first of all, you know, you have to really know about yourself before you're even going to think about teaching. And you should be looking at going in linguistic courses as well, but the concern is these courses are not there anymore, or they're few and far between. They're very thin on the ground. Because I know that when I started to teach, it was amazing. There was all of these doors were open for me, and
you were very lucky.
Now, well, I look now, and people are saying, well, we live in Scotland and there's maybe a course away down in England, there's nothing here. So that concerns me as well.
Yeah, it's
What do you
tricky.
think?
Yeah, and we need to, ask those people who have studied linguistics, who have researched in linguistics, to teach us linguistics, and perhaps to deliver those kinds of sessions on Zoom, UK wide, so that we can all get together and access that. I think it would be so worthwhile and really worthwhile, those people thinking about that.
Yeah, I see that as an alternative solution. That is a solution for me
Absolutely.
because of new technology, Clark. Well, I agree with Emma as well. Could you just hang on a second? Right, okay. Someone's at the doorbell. Sorry. Anywho, these things happen live. But going back to what we're talking about, I think when we had Frances, she had her own specific linguistic course, a
Yes, that was
rich
amazing.
course.
Yeah.
It was there and available to all, and it was open to everyone because a lot of deaf people weren't sure about, signing themselves, how they sign, where that came from, how they understand it. So doing the linguistic course was really putting them in touch with their deafhood as well, and in turn, just help the confidence. So it's so important in so many ways. It's not only just for people wanting to learn sign language, it's for people, users of sign language as well. And if you ask people who did the linguistic course, a lot of them didn't become teachers, but what they did say was it enhanced their confidence, it made sure that
Absolutely,
they had
definitely.
less doubt, and if anything, it gave them the foundations of their life, of their deafhood.
Yes, it was very foundational, absolutely.
Um,
Really helped people. It was such an important basis for
yeah,
many
and it
people.
linked to
Yeah,
teaching so
absolutely
beautifully.
agree. And one thing that I forgot to say earlier was, deaf history as well. You're getting access to history of deafness because, you know, we're talking about a GCSE and BSL, and 15% of that is going to be about deaf history. So we need to know it. Tutors, BSL tutors, teachers need to get
Mhm.
involved and need to understand deaf history as well.
I mean, I suppose if I'm thinking way back to my time, I'm just thinking, I think there was 3 or 4 different courses at different universities, and every single one of them included an element of linguistics. So it didn't matter where you went, all of them covered linguistics as a core element of their courses, and that allowed you just to really absorb all of that information. My concern now is that it's not there, and that's going to be a real challenge for BSL tutors, teachers, lecturers of the future. So I've got a question to you, Clark as the president, Emma as you as the chair. What do you think your association's strengths are and weaknesses? What do you think? And this question has come in from Erin McCluskey.
Again, really good question. Yeah, in terms of strengths, Erin, I would say that ABLTA has been going for 35 years, and
Wow.
we're still going,
Wow,
and that's
congratulations.
amazing. In terms of weaknesses, I would say lack of training, particularly in the area of linguistics, as we've mentioned. And I would say the number of colleges where hearing people know nothing about linguistics, know nothing about deaf culture, know nothing about deaf history, and yet are still training deaf people to become teachers. That concerns
Mhm.
me. I think that deaf people need to go to something like the STTC for their sign language tutor training. Sadly, Durham has folded, so that remains a sort of weak area for us. The courses that are providing the teacher training and the quality of teacher training that it can be provided by deaf tutors training deaf people to become teachers. So I think we should have deaf people training to become teachers and deaf people teaching them. So it's really important, training the
Yes.
trainers. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree. Clark, what do you think the strengths are? Lovely question, Erin. I think we all need to take a look at ourselves, to be honest, and say where can we support, recognise, where our strengths and weaknesses are within the organisation. We can look at the history. We have that there that we can work in. We can look at the weak areas and transition so as we can make them more positive. I mean, the association itself had the BDA already involved campaigning and the political wing, if you like, to get the funding. And it was the association that just focused on the teaching. So it was great when we had that. So now it's changed that we are now having to look at that, and that now has become a strength. And it's a lot of work, and we've got so many priorities, and we want to be doing so many things. And I think that's the thing for ourselves is us taking accountability for that.
Yes, we as a community really need to support each other in ABSLTA. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's healthy. Organisations will always change with what's happening in society. Where are the young people? It's then our responsibility to go out there and find them, to make sure that we mitigate that gap. There's not enough people out there who are becoming BSL teachers, tutors, or lecturers, and we need to do something about that. We need to make sure that we're looking at alternatives like Zoom, and that we're being very agile in our approach to make sure that we're looking for solutions for all of these things.
Absolutely.
Wow. I'm thinking now, just with an eye in the past, and again, it's a question to both of you.
I want to show something at the end. I've got something to show you at the end.
Okay, Emma, I'll look forward to that. So I suppose what I want to ask both of you is, if you had a crystal ball, I know that you'd mentioned, the fact that young people are now being mainstreamed, and that in school they're not getting access to the rich BSL and the culture and everything else, and a lot of it is science-supported English. Are you concerned that maybe in future that the language BSL will be some way become diluted and maybe taken over?
I think we need research in this area. I really do, because I used to work in a deaf school, and some people with cochlear implants are great signers. Some people with cochlear implants, are very oral, and some don't even speak. So I think it just depends on the individual person. In terms of SSE, it tends to be people from hearing families, who have been to hearing schools, and then they sign a kind of sign-supported English. But I think I see more of that in England, and I see more BSL up in Scotland, and I don't know. Yeah,
What a relief!
I don't know what that's about.
Oof. So, Clark, what about you in the future? Hard question, Avro. Because where did BSL come from? It comes from school. It comes from the Deaf Club. These are the two sources. They are where BSL is really, really exposed. So, and you have to be mixing with people to make sure that the language stays alive. If you don't do it and the language doesn't get an opportunity to grow, then it will die. You can't have just, teaching BSL, and one person. So there's lots of things that are byproducts that are going to disappear as well. Now, language will always evolve. Every language will change, and BSL will be no different. I think BSL will continue to the future. I think there'll be campaigning to get the BDA back involved. We've got the BSL Act now as well here in the UK. We won't just, raise the white flag. We're going to continue. We've been doing it for a long time, and we have that proof in our history. It's just going to be a different challenge, but it'll be, and we have to be able to adapt and change that and be up for that challenge. I can't say what the future holds, but I know
Yes,
BS will
we
be
don't
there.
know, but
Well, I suppose what you said there, Clark, is so important that we have role models as well, because if you've got one deaf child at school, then they've never seen or met anyone that's like them. They don't even know the age. So I suppose that's part of any young person's journey, is to actually meet someone like themselves, and maybe
exactly.
have people that they can look up to, that they can aspire to be like. I remember having deaf role models, and I think it
Yeah,
really is
where are they
important.
now? Few and far between, aren't they? Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you must have role models within your association. They're all there. It'd be lovely to see people actually utilising that.
And last weekend, there was a National Sign Language Teachers Conference, and we all got together, and everybody was looking to everyone else, and and we were all inspiring each other, and that's a really beautiful thing. So I agree with Clark, I really do, that it's this kind of community thing. It feeds itself.
But I suppose what I'm trying to say is BSL is only going to work if the community is together and is being
Yeah,
around each other. In isolation, it won't work.
not in isolation, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, Avril. We talk about networks in business and in work. This is a network of deaf people. It works in exactly the same principle. And that's where your strength is. Your strength is there together and united.
Let me just show something quickly. Just 5 seconds or something before we finish. I've got something to show, so just flagging that one for you.
Just remind me, Emma. I'm just checking to make sure if there's any other questions or if we've covered everything tonight. Just bear with me. Yes. We've done that. We've covered this. We spoke about this. We had so many questions for tonight, so I just want to make sure that we've covered everything. I suppose some people talk about, how important it is to have a role model. It's so important for young deaf people. We spoke about the qualifications and the minimum qualifications that you need to be into teaching. Yes, so I've remembered. So it's already past an hour. So before we go, I suppose the last question is over to both of you. If you get any tips or advice for any tutors out there existing, or maybe people are considering a career in teaching BSL. Emma.
If you're interested, contact ABSLTA. Just email us or go on our website. You can contact us via the website, and we will reply to you. And there are lots of different pathways to follow, and we can give you lots of ideas. Clark.
What Emma said, and also we know that BSL tutors are out there and they're feeling lonely. Don't be alone. We are your family. That's what we are.
We are. I love that.
ABSLTA is your family. Come home. Don't forget.
And we are growing, and we're going from strength to strength. BSL teachers are a community. We are a force, I don't know if it's time to show my thing yet.
Well, I mean, I want to see the organisation growing from strength to strength, and I'm hoping that by exposure here tonight, that maybe the numbers will start to increase, and maybe this family's just going to give birth to lots of new little tutors. But to people at home, it would be worth, to both Emma and Clark, if you look on our comments and questions on Facebook, it might be worth you responding to that as well.
Will do. What I wanted to say was next year's ABSLTA AGM will be in Manchester at the Deaf Centre there in April, the 27th of April, which is a Saturday. There's something also on the Friday night as well, and on the Sunday. So that's a perfect opportunity for you to join ABSLTA and get involved. with us. We're going to be celebrating, having a little celebration. So just keep your eye out for
That's
posts and
fantastic.
information on that.
So it'll be
The
2
committee
years
have
from the BSL Act. Wow.
the committee have been busy creating something that I want to show you. Here we are. Look at that.
Wow. Let's see more. Oh, love it. Look at the 3 keywords.
Education,
Education.
inclusivity, collaboration.
Perfect. That's our new flag. Our new flag.
Isn't that great? Yes. Flying the flag proudly. Yes.
Maybe we should be getting badges as well.
Yes,
Definitely,
that's a
so as
good
we can
call.
show our
Good
allies
idea.
as well.
Good idea. Love that.
Thanks for
Thank
sharing,
you.
Emma. That's lovely. And thank you to both for our time.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
It's been such a good conversation, and I really hope that in 50 or 100 years' time, when you're handing over the torch to all the people that go after you, that will still be here.
Yes,
And
come and join us.
Rich
Come and join us.
family and community will be there, and we want to make sure that this with the family just keeps growing and getting bigger and bigger, and new generations to come. Thank you
Absolutely
so
so.
much. We went over our time, but thank you to both, and thank you for watching at home. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you for watching. Bye.